crafties, welcome to another video tutorial slash make along. My name is Infinity, and today, as promised, we are going to be doing the, what did I call it? We are going to be doing the cabled spoke rug. Now, this rug is something that I randomly started designing a few weeks ago, and I thought it would make a good holiday kind of rug thing, so I did make it in Red Heart's like mistletoe color, which is this color right behind me. That's okay, right behind me. So that's kind of cool. I'll pan the camera down in a moment to show you guys the design of the rug. For today's tutorial, you are going to need a few things. Mainly you're just going to need your yarn and your hook. This is a big twist yarn. It's kind of a camel taupe color. I don't have the full specs on it. It came in one of those bundles that you get from Joann's. So I have that, and my hook is a I9 or a 5.5 millimeter. So I think that's a pretty accurate gauge for this yarn. You're going to need snips. This is a new pair that I have. Later on, when I actually need to cut my yarn, I'll bring out my toolkit, but until then, there's those. And then this is optional, but I oftentimes buy this grip, this like matte gripping stuff. You usually use it in your kitchen counters and in your cabinets and stuff like that, but I have made a rug before and I used it on here, and because I do have this tile slash concrete floor, it does get a little slick sometimes, so this is just a safeguard that you may or may not want to have for it later. So that's pretty much it to get started today. So we are going to move on to the next segment in a bit, and I'm going to show you how to get started. We won't be going through the full rundown today. I'm uploading these each consecutive Wednesday, so a little intermediate kind of make along thing between the regular Sunday tutorials. So I'm going to pause and going to pan down and meet you guys back to show you the rug that I made so far. Excuse my paint splatters, but this is the cabled spoke rug. I did not make this one very big. Of course, in the tutorial it is made to where you can make it bigger than this, but for the sake of my space and whatnot, this was the best size. I'm not sure if you guys are getting any of the details there, but there we are. That's why I'm doing the tutorial today in a solid color, so that you guys can really get to appreciate those details in there, for better or for worse. Alright, so first of all, on today's tutorial, we're going to be kind of making the center part of the rug, and you can see this makeshift pattern that I kind of put together or started out. The thing is, when I write my patterns, sometimes I end up writing out the full thing, and other times it ends up getting typed midway, but nonetheless. So the first part of this tutorial either is really optional. So either you can make a magic circle, or you can do the whole chain 5 slip stitch into the first stitch deal. Again, you've probably heard me say in previous videos, I love doing the magic circle. That is my favorite way of working in the round, so that's what I will be doing. So you can see that I found my center string, which is easier for me to work with. Some people are okay with the outside string, but that's not me. And what I'm gonna do with this is make my magic circle. So if you don't know how to do a magic circle, I recommend going back to the old tutorial that shows you how to do that, or you can find one that's more suited for your learning style. I don't know what's up with my voice today, jeez. Alright, so I'm gonna make a magic circle, and I am going to, according to my pattern, chain 2. So 1 and 2. And then what I'm going to proceed to do is make 9 more double crochet in my ring, but this chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I really do need to make 9 double crochets. So I'm going to do that. And I've yarned over, and I'm making my first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, 'cinching together my magic circle. 7, 8, pull that even tighter. So yeah, I don't have a typed up pattern right now. However, prospectively, I'll have one for you guys around the beginning of the year. I'm not sure if it's gonna fall before or after New Year's, but go ahead and make that 9th stitch. That is something that I really want to do. It will be 9 times out of 10 a paid pattern over on the Craftsy page. So if you'd like to show your support and purchase the written version, that would be so appreciated by me. Alright, now, so like I said, the chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So that means we won't be going into it. And we will be instead closing this row with a slip stitch at the top of that first double crochet. And that has given us our round 1. It's just a round. So round 2 says to chain 2, again not counting as a slip stitch, and we're going to make 2 front post double crochet in each double crochet around, and we're also going to join with a slip stitch for a total of 18 front post double crochets. So I'm going to do that. So we're chaining 1, chaining 2, and we are going to yarn over, and we are going to insert our hook like right here around that first double crochet, basically the double crochet that our chain 2 is coming out of. And we're just going to make that stitch, and we're going to do it again. Because like I said, that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So we have our first 2, and it's going to look kind of twisted, but it'll work out in the end, trust me. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go between those stitches again, come out the other side, and make another front post double crochet. Going to do it again around that same post. Then I'm going to do 2 around the next stitch. And this is a really easy pattern. I'd say after this starting out here, probably row 6 or row 7, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll be not needing to really count or do much of anything after you get the hang of it. Got those. Is that 1 or 2? I think that's just 1. So I want to make sure I'm doing, nope, it's 2. Going to yarn over. So this one's a little, this make along is a little different from the last one I did. I believe it was the Coffee Patch make along. With that one, I was kind of designing, most of the pattern was in my head, and now the pattern is actually made out. So it's also in my head, but it's also very tangible right now. So it's easier to talk to you guys and teach you guys how to do this. I'm going to be quiet now and just work my stitches all the way around. So I'm going to close this row with another slip stitch. Again, that chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so what I am doing is slip stitching into the top of that first kind of double crochet of the row. I'm getting on through there. Now for row 3, it tells me to chain 2. So 1, 2. Again, that chain 2 is not counting as a stitch. And what we're going to do is put a front post double crochet in this stitch. And then we're going to go between those stitches and we are going to make a double crochet. Now here, to me, it does not matter whether you go inside the stitch or just simply between there, but for my eyes it makes it easier for me to just go between there. So that's what I do, and there's no real difference, it's just less confusing. And then I am going to put a front post double crochet around that next post, and then I'm going to go between the posts, and then I'm going to go on over and make a front post double crochet, and then I'm going to make a double crochet between those stitches. So I'm going to pause the video and allow you guys to catch up, and I will meet you back when I get back to the end of the row. Alright, so now we're going to go on to row 4. To end row 3, you're just going to close it off with a slip stitch. Now you're going to put that slip stitch in the top of that chain 2, because for row 4, that chain 2 does count as a stitch. So again, just repeating row 3, and I'm going to do that real quick, and I will meet you guys back at the beginning of row 5. Alright, so hopefully you guys are able to catch up in that little time lapse, and I am going around my last little post, which is this one, and I'm just going to make my last double crochet. Oops. And I am going to close this row with a slip stitch. Alright, so that's kind of the end of this little rib pattern. So we're just going to pull up our yarn a little bit, and we're going to count our stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. So you should have 48 stitches by the end of this row. And so now what I'm going to do is put my hook back in there, and I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. Alright, and what I'm going to do next is place a double crochet in the base of that chain 2, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over twice, and I am going to skip these 3 stitches right here. 1, 2, 3. And what I'm going to do is do a front post treble crochet around that 4th stitch. So yarn over, pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Alright? So if you've watched previous tutorials, you may be familiar with the cable stitch. If you have not tried that out yet, I recommend maybe going back to it, because perhaps it will be a little more helpful to you to know how to work a cable stitch before you start working it in the round in the way that I'm about to show you. So we're going to make another front post treble crochet. So I yarned over twice. I'm going to insert my hook one side and come out the other, and just pull through. Oops, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to make one more front post treble crochet, so I'm going to yarn over twice and do that. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now you should have something that looks like this. What we're going to do, we have to work back in those 3 stitches that we skipped in the first place. So what we're going to do with that is yarn over twice, and we are going to now make a front post treble crochet around this first stitch back here, but we're going to work behind these stitches that we just made. And again, if you're confused about this, go back to that tutorial because it would be a big help. And we're just going to go back there and pull up that loop. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And yarn over, pull through 2. Alright, and that looks good. So we're going to do that 2 more times. I'll do that on camera. Going on back there, grabbing that stitch, pulling up that loop, pulling through 2, pulling through 2, pulling through 2. Also, if you stumbled across this tutorial and you are unaware of what a treble crochet is, I do have a separate tutorial that teaches you how to do the treble crochet separately, so also observe that one. And the last one back here, be sure not to skip that one. Gonna pull up that loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we have the makings of a cable, so that's awesome. And now what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to put a double crochet right in this stitch. We're going to work that stitch normally and just make that double crochet, and that kind of creates a post for this cable to stay in, you know what I mean. And I am going to move some of my giant stuff out of the corner. Some of you all may know I am working on a unboxing thing for the end of the year, but I want to take a look at my other blanket right kind of next to this one. So in these first kind of stages, it appears to me that there is only one stitch between the makings of these cables, and I've somehow increased them going on and on and on. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna move this guy right on back out the way, and I have created my one stitch, so that means I should be yarning over twice and skipping these 3 stitches, working into that 4th one, making a front post treble crochet. So I'm going to do that, yarning over twice, making that 2nd front post treble crochet, and yarning over, making that 3rd front post treble crochet. And the more I say these words, the more it comes back to my memory. I also recently did a front post back post tutorial, so go check that out as well if you're a little confused. I understand. And yarn over twice. Now I'm going to go back to those stitches that I skipped. Go back to that first one, if I can find it. if I can look at it right. I'm gonna go back to that first one, and I am simply gonna work my front post treble crochet. Now my thought was when I first started doing cables is, okay, I'm working in those stitches I skipped. Aren't those technically back posts because they're at the back? But no, this stitch is still pulling the stitches forward, so it's still a front post. I know it's weird, but yeah, we're gonna do that second one. Also, let me know, guys, if there's anything that you want me to make on camera. I'm open to suggestions. If there's anything on my social media that you've seen that you've liked and want to know how to make, just either DM me or let me know in the comments, and I'll let you know if that is an item that is like up for pattern reveal or not, and we can cover that in one of the future tutorials. Now, if you watched the little itinerary thing, you know that December is booked up, but I'll be more than glad to do something in January. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to yarn over, make a double crochet in the next stitch, just like that. And you can already see the formation of these cables. They're just, I love cables. So we're going to do it again. Going to skip the first 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, and go into that 4th one. Now what I'm going to do is pause the video here, and I will meet you guys back when I get to the end of the row. Okay, so I'm back at the end of the row, and as you can see here, we kind of ran out of stitches, like we were stitched short, and that's intentional. So for this row only, what you're going to do is yarn over twice as if you're going to make that last front post treble crochet, and you're going to go and work a front post treble crochet in these chains right here, just like that. Now that is for this row only, and then you're just going to go back and work your front post treble crochets as normal. So I'm going to go back here and grab these stitches real quick, making those treble crochets. There's 1. Go back and get this one. And here's 2. And I'm gonna yarn over twice, just one more time, to go in for that last one. If I can find it. I skipped one. No. It's okay to make mistakes, though. Everybody makes mistakes. Just want to make sure that you catch them in your project, because otherwise you could like just frog the whole thing. And what we're doing is that second one over again. Okay, now we're gonna make that last one right here. So in this make along, this cabled spoke rug actually has 8 spokes. In the one previous it had 5. It worked up differently somehow. It's interesting, following the same pattern, and it works up differently. That's okay. I'm going to work on that one, but I'm going to close this row with a slip stitch in the top of that chain 2, just like so. Alright, now what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and then what we're going to do in this next stitch is make an increase. So that's basically putting 2 double crochets in the same stitch. There's also a tutorial on my channel for that, as well as working in the round. Alright, so for this row, if you are familiar with cables, you know that there's a lot of flipping back and forth when you're doing them. And yes, that would be one way of working them, but I kind of figured out this little way, and I've never seen a tutorial work cables in the round quite like this. We're not going to be doing all that flipping and flopping. We're just going to keep working in the same direction, in the same round, row after row. So after you make that increase, what you're going to do is you're just going to make 6 front post double crochets across these sort of cabled stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, and then we're going to do the ones back here. Can't forget about those guys. So we're going to yarn over, yarn over, and just work those double crochets in there like so. So we're still having that alternation of easy row versus cable row, and I don't know, I think it worked out really well. I guess obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing a make along. And now that we have those, you can see that it's bringing these forward and kind of pulling these back just as it would across a kind of linear cable pattern, your traditional cable pattern. Alright, so now we are going to come over here in this little stitch right here, and we're going to make an increase of 2 double crochets. So there's 1, and there's 2. Alright, and now we're going to repeat what we just did here in this one. So that means picking up our yarn and making those 6 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3. And be sure not to forget those back ones because it's so easy to do. I do it quite often and it's terrible. And I'm going to double crochet and another front post double crochet, and 1 more front post double crochet. And then again in this little single stitch right here, we are going to make a double crochet increase. So that is putting 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And we'll be repeating this pattern all the way around until we get back to the beginning of the row. Alright, and I'll meet you back. Alright, so now I am back and I am closing off this row with a slip stitch in the top of that chain 2. Oops, that was not a slip stitch, but that is another joining method that I'll do a tutorial on later. Alright, so I've done my slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2, and what I'm going to do now is make a double crochet in a double crochet increase in the next stitch. Sorry. 2. And then I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Just like that. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is go back to my cabling. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around my hook twice. I'm going to skip these first 3 stitches. Grab this one. And make that treble, front post treble crochet. and then I'm gonna do it again in the next kind of post there. And then I'm gonna make a third one. Oops. And then I'm gonna go back and work in these 3 that I skipped here. So I'm gonna yarn over twice again and make that first front post treble crochet. Alright. And I'm gonna do the other 2. Here's the second one. And I'm gonna pull up. We're gonna do that third one in there. Oops. Okay, so now we have that, and you can see that our cable twists are becoming more profound even at this stage. So that's a good thing. So now we have these 2 regular stitches right here, and what we're going to do is just yarn over and make a double crochet in the first one. And then we are going to put an increase in the next stitch with double crochets. So 1, and 2. Alright, and now we're going to go back to cabling. So I'm going to yarn over twice, and I'm going to skip those first 3, do that first front post treble crochet. That is such a mouthful. I always find myself just saying, okay, I know to do the front post, just say treble crochet. And in the pattern, when I write it, it will be abbreviated TR, but that'll be information included also inside the pattern for you guys. Which I'm not sure, it's a work in progress. So it might be available by the 1st of the year, but don't hold me to that. Just kind of pacing it and seeing where it goes. Alright, now we're going to work in those 3 that we skipped. So yarn over twice, go on back there, and work those stitches. Not like that. Again, easy to mess up these cables. They take patience, but you've come this far. I have faith in you. And there is the one. I'm gonna yarn over twice if I can get my tension right. And we are going to do the second one. And we are going to yarn over twice, and we're going to do that third one. And 3. Alright, and just like before, we're now going to make a double crochet in the next stitch, just plain old stitch work. And then in the next stitch, we're going to make an increase. So that's 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Alright, and we are going to repeat that all the way around until we get back to the beginning. And don't worry if it starts to kind of fold up like this. It's going to kind of do that for the entire project, and my only method of fixing that in the end will be to block it if this is going to be something that you're going to have on the floor. If it's going to be something for the wall, then still I would say block it just to get those edges right. So I'm going to pause the video here and I'm going to finish out this row. Alright crafties, and I have come to the end of this row, so I am going to close it off with a slip stitch. Just like that. And I'm going to chain 2. But for today, I'm going to leave this here. Next week, we will go into a different kind of expand sequence. And here you can see where it's kind of doing the little lotus thing, and it's perfectly okay. If you're like uncomfortable with it looking like this right now, you can block it, but in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to block it until the end, because every time you come to the cabling rows, it's just gonna do that. So until next time, happy making and happy holidays.